all set on the?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Ms. Perez. Please introduce yourself to the jury.
Good evening, my name is Courtney Perez.
Ms. Perez, how old are you?
I'm 22 years old.
Where do you go to school?
I go to the University of Middle Sunshine.
What year are you?
I'm a junior.
What are you studying at UMS?
I'm currently studying pre-law.
Outside of school, do you work? Do you have a job?
Yeah, I have my own little party planning business.
What does your planning business do?
Well, I organize and plan parties for different on-campus organizations. I take charge of things like the food and the setting up of the party, things like that.
Who hires you to plan their parties?
A lot of on-campus organizations hire me, like fraternities. Zeta Lambda Nu is actually one of my biggest clients.
Were you hired by Zeta Lambda Nu for the party that occurred on May 24th?
I was, yeah.
Tell us about the planning process.
Well, me and the fraternity, we spoke specifically with Andre Dornberg, the fraternity's treasurer at the time, about what their expectations for the party was.
And what exactly did you discuss in these planning meetings?
We discussed how everything would be set up and what their expectations were.
What were the specificities of the party?
Well, we hired vendors to get the supplies that we needed to construct the party. The fraternity wanted to have a beach theme party. So we got a tarp and sandbags and we made a makeshift pool. And Andre brought a lifeguard chair.
Referring opposing counsel what's been previously been marked as Exhibit 2 for identification purposes only. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Ms. Perez, I'm now showing you what has been previously been marked as Exhibit 2 for identification purposes only. Do you recognize this?
I do.
What is it?
This is a aerial diagram of Zeta Lambda Nu.
How do you recognize it?
I've seen it before.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of the diagram of the party setup?
It is.
Is it drawn to scale?
It is.
Defense now offers into evidence what's been previously been marked as Exhibit 2 for identification purposes only as Defense Exhibit 2.
Any objection?
No objections, Your Honor.
Okay. So this will be moved in as defense, is it?
Exhibit 1, I'm sorry, Your
Exhibit
Honor.
1, okay.
Your Honor, permission to publish the exhibit to the jury in the form of demonstrative?
Yep, go ahead.
And Your Honor, permission to ask the witness to step down?
Permission to have the witness step down, yeah, you may.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Perez, you can step down here, please.
Your Honor, permission to reposition myself?
Yes. And that applies to everybody for the rest of the trial. You need to get up to move to see anything, that's fine, go ahead.
Ms. Perez, can you please briefly describe to us what this diagram is showing?
Yeah, so this diagram is showing what the Zeta Lambda Nu fraternity looked like the night of the party. This is where we made the makeshift pool with the tarp and we put sandbags around it, and this is where Andre put the lifeguard chair.
And Ms. Perez, if somebody was standing at the front of the property on the sidewalk and looking in, would they be able to see the setup clearly?
Yes, they would.
Would they be able to see each component of the beach setup?
Yeah, they would.
Thank you. No further questions with this.
Good job helping her, Shaw. Good. Really good.
Ms. Perez, after the beach setup was complete, how deep was the pool?
Roughly 3 feet.
Were there any issues with the setup?
The only issue really was the lifeguard chair, but we took care of that because we tied it down with sandbags.
Ms. Perez, what was your job the night of the party?
During the party, I was manning the front door.
What do you mean, manning the front door?
I was responsible for checking everyone's IDs. Andre specifically said that he wanted the party to be safe and it be adults only.
Why was it so important that those let into the party was 21 and over?
Well, just to comply with what the university expected of the fraternity and just to make sure that everyone was safe.
And how did you and the fraternity ensure those let in were 21 and over?
I was checking everyone's IDs individually, but I also constructed a sign that said must be 21 to enter, and Andre helped put that sign over the door.
And how big was the sign?
It was like 5 or 6 feet.
Was it like the size of a piece of paper?
No, more like 6 times that. It was like really long on a piece of butcher paper. I'd say like probably 6 feet.
And while you were guarding the door, did you see Kay Denning?
I did.
What happened when Miss Denning tried to get into the party?
Well, she didn't have her ID, so I told her that she couldn't get in.
And how did she respond to that?
She said that she would find a way in one way or another.
Miss Perez, from the time you began guarding the door at the start of the party at 8 p.m. up until the time the party ended and you completed guarding the door at 1 a.m., did Kay Denning get into the party?
No, she did not.
When was the next time you saw Kay Denning?
Objection, lack of foundation.
Overruled.
When was the next time you saw Kay Denning?
The next time I saw Kay was after the party had ended and I was cleaning up.
What was she doing when you saw her?
She seemed pretty drunk. I mean, she was stumbling around and she was by herself.
What time was this?
It was after the party was over, roughly 1:30 in the morning.
What did you do when you saw Kay Denning there back when the party was over and you were cleaning up?
I told Andre that he had to get her out of there. I mean, I knew that she potentially couldn't have been 21 and that she shouldn't have been there.
Did you see her again after that?
I did, yeah, she still had enough left.
What was she doing?
She was stumbling around and she was walking over to the lifeguard chair in the pool.
Was she with anyone?
No, she was by herself.
How was she acting?
She was acting pretty drunk. I mean, she was stumbling around and she had this big cup in her hand with this like red drink in it.
Did she get that cup from the fraternity party?
No, definitely not. I mean, we only had red Solo cups and this was like a big gulp cup.
What happened next?
Well, she began to climb up the chair and she was stumbling around and I yelled at her to get down.
Then what happened?
Well, then she got to the top of the chair and she raised her arms above her head like she was gonna dive and then she dove off.
Miss President, I have 2 more questions for you today. Did anyone force Miss Denning to climb up that lifeguard chair?
No, definitely not.
Did anyone force her to jump off the lifeguard chair once she was at the top?
No, if anything, everyone was trying to get her down.
Thank you, no further questions.
Thank you. Cross?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Perez, you own a party planning business.
I do.
You've been hired by Zeta Lambda Nu before to throw parties.
Yeah.
You've also been hired by other fraternities.
Yes.
You would agree with me that you're pretty good at your job.
Yeah, I'd say my business is pretty successful.
One of your responsibilities as a party planner is to keep parties safe.
Yeah, one of many.
You were hired by Zeta Lambda Nu to throw the party on May 24th, 2019.
I was hired to plan the party.
It wasn't your idea to throw the party.
No, they just hired me to plan it.
It was Zeta Lambda Nu's idea to throw the party.
Yes.
Zeta Lambda Nu came up with the idea to throw a beach-themed party.
Yes.
In fact, it was Andre Dornberg, the treasurer of the fraternity, who had the idea to transform the front lawn into a beach-themed party.
Yeah, it was his idea.
You learned that they wanted to transform it by adding sand,
Yep.
a tiki hut,
Yeah, there was a tiki hut.
a makeshift pool with tarp and sandbags,
Yes, we did make that.
and a lifeguard chair.
Yes, Andre had brought the lifeguard chair.
And the lifeguard chair concerned you.
It did, but we took care of that concern. We tied it down with sandbags.
You were concerned that someone was gonna climb up that lifeguard chair and fall.
I was concerned that could happen, but we tied it down with sandbags so that it wouldn't be wobbly or anything.
When you were discussing the party with the fraternity, there was a big meeting about the safety of the party.
Well, the fraternity addressed to me that they just wanted the party to be safe and for everyone to have fun.
As a party planner, you make certain recommendations to your clients,
I do, yeah.
but it's up to them to decide whether or not they want to follow those recommendations.
Yeah, I mean, I can give them my advice, but it's up to them to take it.
You thought that the party setup was a bad idea.
I wouldn't say the entire setup was a bad idea. We were just really concerned about the lifeguard chair, but like I said, we took care of that.
Since the entire setup wasn't a bad idea, some of it was a bad idea?
I would say the only part that was a bad idea was potentially the lifeguard chair, but like I said, we took care of that.
Ms. Perez, if it was up to you, you wouldn't have that lifeguard chair there, would you?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered. Overruled.
Ms. Perez, if it were up to you, you wouldn't have that lifeguard chair there, would you?
I mean, I wouldn't say I wouldn't have it there, but I would have taken safety precautions to make sure that it was safe, and that's what we did.
You would agree with me that because all of the party wasn't safe, that some of it was unsafe, correct?
Some of it wasn't safe, but we took care of it.
So do you think the party was thrown safely?
I do.
Is it your testimony here today that although you had concerns about the lifeguard chair and the pool, that the party was thrown safely?
Yes,
Ms. Perez, you own a party planning business.
I do.
You make money running your business.
Yep.
You mentioned that Zeta Landanu is one of your best clients.
They are.
If they don't follow the campus policy or rules, they can get shut down.
Yeah.
If Zeta Landanu gets shut down, you would lose one of your best clients.
Yeah, but I have plenty of other clients.
Let's talk about the night of May 24th, 2019. You saw Miss Denning in the backyard with Mr. Dornberg.
I did.
You told Mr. Dornberg that Kay had to leave.
I did, yeah. The party was over and she wasn't of age.
The party was over, but the movies were still playing.
Yes.
Miss Denning and Mr. Dornberg were still partying.
Yes.
Did you see Mr. Dornberg escort Miss Denning away?
No.
Did you see Mr. Dornberg tell Miss Denning to leave the party?
I asked him to remove her from the party, but I'm not sure whether or not he told her to leave.
You asked him to remove Miss Denning from the party, but you're not a member of the fraternity.
No, I'm not.
You didn't see any fraternity members tell Miss Denning to leave?
I didn't see, I'm not sure if they told her to leave or not.
And they were in the backyard with the same kegs that we saw in the photo.
Yes.
The kegs that served alcohol.
Just, I'm not sure if those kegs still had alcohol in them at that time.
You were in charge of cleaning up the party.
I was.
You didn't clean up the kegs from the party?
I don't recall.
You saw Kay one more time in the front of the Zeta Lambda New House.
I did, yes.
You saw Kay walk over to the lifeguard chair.
Yes.
You told her to get away from the lifeguard chair.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure if she could hear me. She was pretty drunk and stumbling. Wasn't sure if she was even paying attention.
But she was alone.
She was.
You didn't see any fraternity members tell her to get away from the lifeguard chair?
I told them to get her away, but I'm not sure if they did or not.
Is it your testimony here today that you told fraternity members to escort her away from the lifeguard chair?
Yes.
Ms. Perez, you gave a deposition in this case?
Yeah.
I was there.
Yes.
Your attorney was there.
Yes.
The court reporter was there.
Yes.
And you swore to tell the truth,
Yes.
the whole truth,
Yes.
and nothing but the truth,
Yes.
just as you did today.
Yes.
Showing opposing counsel, or rather referring opposing counsel to Courtney Perez's deposition.
Objection, Your Honor, improper impeachment.
Well, let's let him finish the impeachment and then we'll decide whether it's improper. Go ahead.
Referring opposing counsel to page 5, line 11 to 14. Your Honor, may I approach?
You may.
Please tell me where in this deposition you mentioned that you told someone to leave.
I don't think this is.
Objection, Your Honor, improper impeachment.
Sustained. Counselor, move on.
You know how to make a party safe.
Yeah,
You know there are ways to warn someone of danger.
yeah, there are many ways.
You can keep someone out by having cones,
That's one way.
having caution tape,
Sure.
having warning signs.
Yes.
You can even have someone supervising the area, making sure that no one goes near it.
Yes.
There was no cones on or around the lifeguard chair that night.
No, there wasn't.
There was no caution tape.
No, there wasn't.
There was no warning signs.
No, there were no warning signs near the lifeguard chair.
There wasn't anyone to stop someone from climbing that lifeguard chair.
No, but it wasn't supposed to be used. It was just supposed to be decorative.
There was nothing physically preventing someone from climbing that lifeguard chair.
No.
No further questions.
Thank you. Be direct.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Perez, what time was the party over that night?
It was over at 1 a.m.
Objection asked and answered.
Yeah, I remember. Overruled.
Why was the party over at 1 a.m.?
Because that was part of the university's policy.
So, Ms. Perez, when Kay Denning was climbing the lifeguard chair, when you saw her for that second time, why was there no fraternity members around the pool?
Well, the party had already ended.
Thank you, no further questions.
Thank you. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defense calling next witness.
Your Honor, the defense calls Andre Dornberg.
Okay, let's get him situated. We'll presume this witness has been sworn, but just give me a brief moment. Mr. Dornberg?
Hello.
Oh, okay. Yes, hold on one moment. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Good evening. Please introduce yourself to the jury.
Hello, my name is Andre Dornberg.
Andre, do you go to school?
Yes, I currently attend the University of Middlesex.
What's your major?
Currently, I'm majoring in business entrepreneurship.
Do you also work while being a student?
I do. I actually work at the school part-time as a.
Are there any other activities that you do on school?
Yeah, excuse me. Yes. I'm also currently involved with the Zeta Lambda Nu fraternity.
Why did you join a fraternity?
Well, I knew that fraternities were an opportunity to be part of a community, and outside of that, you know, they did a lot of charity work and fundraisers.
So why did you specifically choose Zeta Lambda Nu?
Well, I knew they had a really strong education focus, and outside of that, a really extensive alumni network.
Andre, I want to talk to you about May 24th, 2019. Where were you that night?
I was at the house getting ready for a party.
What party was that?
It was the time travel beach theme that we were growing.
And Andre, you just told us about all the great reasons you joined a fraternity and how you give back to the community. Why were you throwing a party?
Well, you know, we do a lot of different things as a fraternity, including some of those fundraisers and charities, but at the end of the day, we're a fraternity and we like to have fun.
So what role did you play in making this party happen?
At the time of the party, I was actually the treasurer of the fraternity, so I helped with some of the setup.
What was that setup like?
Well, we knew that we were going to need a little bit of help setting up the party, so we hired Courtney Perez to help us with that.
Why did you hire Ms. Perez?
We had worked with her before, and we knew she was really excellent in the past with helping us bring some of our ideas to fruition.
What did Courtney Perez specifically do to help bring this idea to fruition?
Well, the first thing that she did was help us by showing up to one of the meetings, and we kind of explained to her what we wanted the setup of the party to look like.
What did you want that party to look like?
Well, we knew we wanted a beach theme, and to do that, we knew we wanted a pool in the front yard and a little setup like that.
How did you make a pool in your front yard?
Well, we had Courtney go out and get some of the materials, including tarps, sandbags, and some other things.
What were those other things?
Well, one thing that I had actually brought to the party was one of the lifeguard stands from the rec center.
Why did you bring a lifeguard stand to the party?
It was a beach theme party, and I thought that it would be a cool prop to kind of tie together the whole theme.
And where did you place this prop?
We placed it in between the sand and the water.
Why did you place that prop there?
Well, one of the things we do with every party is try to focus on having fun, but also being safe. And we knew that, we wanted to make the lifeguard chair as safe as possible, so that's where we decided we should put it.
Were there any other ways the fraternity wanted to make this party safe?
Yes, there were a few things we did. One of the first things we did was put sandbags around the lifeguard chair to keep it stable, and we also did a few things to uphold the drinking policy.
What's that drinking policy?
Well, we have a policy that you cannot serve alcohol to people who are underage, and outside of just policy, it's also the law.
What did the fraternity do to enforce that policy?
Well, one of the first things we did was we made sure that we made those instructions very clear on the invitations that we sent out.
Showing opposing counsel what was previously marked as Exhibit 1 for identification purposes only. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Do you recognize this?
Yes,
How do you recognize this?
I've seen it before.
What is it?
It is a copy of the invitations we sent out to the Kai Pai sisters.
Is it a fair and accurate copy of the invitation you sent out to the Kai Pai sisters?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves into evidence what was previously marked as Exhibit 1 as Defense Exhibit 1.
Plaintiffs, any objections?
Your Honor, just for clarification, this is a defense exhibit 2, but no objection.
Okay. All right. It's so moved, so good to go.
Permission to publish to the jury?
Yes.
So what are we looking at here, Andre?
This is a copy of the invitation that we had sent out to some of the sorority girls for the party.
And what does it say?
It's invitation to all Kai Pai sisters who are in good standing and old enough to drink.
And why was that important?
Well, like I said, it's not just the policy, but it's also the law. And we wanted to make sure that everybody knew before they even got to the party that everyone had to follow them.
Was there anything else the fraternity did to enforce that school's policy?
Yes, we also created signs to post outside of the party.
What did that sign say?
It said must be 21.
And where was that sign placed exactly?
It was placed above the entrance to the house, right doorway.
How big was the sign, Andre?
It was about 6 feet across.
So the fraternity made a 6-foot sign they placed at the front door, and they sent out invitations that specifically stated you had to be 21 to
Objection, Your
enter.
Honor, counsel testifying.
I'm gonna overrule the objection, but Counselor, wrap it up.
And so they specifically sent invitations that also stated you had to be 21. Was there anything else the fraternity did to enforce that rule?
Yes, we knew that we needed to make sure outside of just telling the rules that we actually enforce them. So we had Ms. Perez stand at the door and check IDs throughout the whole party.
Andre, do you remember meeting Kay Denning?
Yes, I do.
When did you meet her?
I met her the night of the party.
How did you actually meet her?
Well, I was sitting up on the lifeguard chair, getting ready for the party, and helping with setup when I saw her and her friend walking down the sidewalk.
What happened once you saw Kay and her friend?
Well, I called over to them to get their attention, and I wanted to go talk to them.
Did you go talk to them?
Yes, I got down off of the lifeguard stand and started making my way over to them.
And how exactly did you make your way over to Kay and her friend?
Well, to get to them, I actually had to walk through the pool to get to them.
Was there anything blocking your view of Kay and her friend?
No, I could see them very clearly.
Once you got to Kay, what occurred?
Well, once I got over, I knew I wanted to invite her to the party, so I got her number.
Did you end up texting?
Yes, we texted often throughout the night.
About what?
Well, one of the things I texted her about was just inviting her to the party, and then we talked about a couple other things.
So did Kay Denning end up coming to your party?
She did, she came.
Was she allowed in?
No, when she first came to the house, she had actually told me that Miss Perez wouldn't let her in.
Why was that?
Well, she told me she forgot her ID, so.
Did you end up seeing Kay at the end, at any point in this night?
Yeah, I had actually invited her back to the party later.
And did she make it back to the party?
Yeah, she ended up coming later on after the party was over.
And what time was that?
It was around 1:30.
How did you learn, how did you learn that Kay was back at the fraternity house?
Well, I was inside helping with some of the cleanup, and she had texted me that she was there.
Once you got that text, what did you do?
I went down to go see her.
What happened once you saw her?
Well, it was kind of strange. She had this big cup that said "top me up" or "top me off," and I'd never really seen it before.
Why was that strange to you?
Well, it didn't look like anything we had at the party. The only cups that we had there were Solo cups.
What happened after that?
After that, I told her that we should probably get going.
Why was that?
Well, I figured she had said that she wanted to go swimming, but I thought that that was a bad idea and that we should just go to an after party.
Did you end up going swimming with Kay?
No, I told her it was just kind of a really bad idea, and also we were cleaning up at that time, couldn't stay.
So what happened after that?
Well, after that, I told her to wait for me downstairs, so I went up to go change.
While you were changing, was there anything else that occurred?
Yeah, while I was up there, I heard Courtney screaming, so I ran back down to see what was going on.
Once you ran back downstairs, what did you see?
I saw Courtney standing outside, and I saw Kay's body in the pool.
What did you do when you saw Kay's body in the pool?
I ran over to her to go help Courtney try and pull the body out.
What happened after that?
After that, I just immediately called 911.
After all that, Andre, did you speak to anyone else that night?
I did. I texted Kay's friend, Christina.
What'd you say?
Well, I just kind of told her that I was really sorry and that I felt like all of this was my fault.
Why did you feel that way?
Well, I was the one who invited her to the party, and I just felt like if I had never met her, none of this would have happened.
Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I think that, I'm the one who met her, and if we had never met in the first place, I don't think she would have been there that night.
Do you believe the fraternity's at fault?
No, we did everything we could to make that party as safe as possible.
Thank you, no further questions.
Ross?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Dornberg, you were the treasurer of Zeta Nu when this incident happened. That's an important position, isn't it?
It is.
You were chosen to serve in that position.
Yes.
And in that position, you made decisions on behalf of Zeta Lambda Nu.
I did.
And you testified earlier today that you're a lifeguard.
I am.
So you know the risks associated with pools,
Yes, I do.
the risks associated with shallow pools.
Yes.
And you know that shallow pools normally have signs next to them.
Yes, they do.
No diving signs?
Yes.
And those signs are there for people's safety.
Yes, they are.
But you didn't put any signs by the pool at your house.
No, we didn't.
Mr. Dornberg, you chose some of the props that were at the party that night.
I did, yes.
You specifically wanted a lifeguard chair there,
Yes, I did.
but it was just supposed to be a prop.
Absolutely.
Nobody was supposed to use it,
No.
but you used it.
I did earlier tonight to make sure that it was stable and safe.
And Kay Denning saw you use it.
Yes, she had beamed me up there.
And Kay Denning, you didn't tell Kay Denning that the chair was just a prop.
No, I didn't tell her.
Mr. Dornberg, you wanted Kay at that party,
Yeah, I wanted her there.
really bad.
I mean, I invited her, so I definitely wanted her there.
So bad that you texted her right after you got her number to invite her back to the party.
Yes,
And you knew Courtney Perez didn't let her in,
I did, yes.
but you kept texting her.
Yeah, I had thought that, to my knowledge, she had just forgotten her ID, so I figured she would just go pick it back up and come to the party.
So you just wanted to remind her.
Yes,
And you texted her not one time,
no,
not 2 times,
no,
not 3 times,
no,
not 4 times.
no,
You texted her 5 times, didn't you?
that's correct.
Your Honor, now referring opposing counsel, what's previously been marked as Exhibit 7 for identification purposes only. Permission to approach the witness.
Granted.
Mr. Dornberg, you recognize this, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And you know what this is?
Yes.
What is this, Mr. Dornberg?
It's a copy of my text messages with Kay Denning.
Is this a fair and accurate representation of your text messages with Kay Denning?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, plaintiff moves Exhibit 7 into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1.
Response? Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we're gonna object under hearsay. It's an out-of-court statement, offer for the truth of the matter asserted.
Okay. Counselor, how do you wanna break this down?
Your Honor, may we sidebar?
Yes.
Your Honor, specifically, we're talking about the text messages between 12:11 and 1:22 between Kay and Chris. We don't think these are hearsay because they're not being offered for the truth of the matter asserted. They're being offered to show the effect on the listener. It's clear that Mr. Dornberg was inviting Kay to the party, where we've seen that Kay did show up to the party, but if not to come in for effect on the listener, we do think they fit under the exception 9803-18D as an agent of the fraternity.
Okay, well, let me just break that down. So as far as the statements, or the text, I should say, from Andre Dornberg to Kay Denning, your argument is that they fall under which exception?
So our first position is that they are not hearsay because they're being offered for effect on the listener, but if you were to disagree with that, it's 9803-18D as
Okay.
statements by the fraternity's agent.
And then how do we deal with, well, what's your response for the text messages from Kay Denning to Andre Dornberg?
The one at 12:58 a.m. Or all of them?
Is this the only one you're trying to move in?
We're moving in from 12:11 a.m. to 1:22 a.m.
So are we constructively redacting all text messages prior?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, just to settle one score here, are we in agreement to go ahead and constructively redact all text messages starting at 6:37 p.m. to 11:42 p.m.?
No, Your Honor, we're not in agreement there. Clearly, Kay is informing Andre of why she was not in and how she had forgotten her ID. If these text messages come in, those previous messages would be extremely relevant to the case at hand.
Okay. All right, so just generally speaking, what's your response for all these messages from Kay to Andre Dornberg? Because it's not a lot, but they are here throughout the entire timeline.
Your Honor, we have no objection to those text messages coming in. The messages from Kay Denning.
This isn't coming across super clear to me, I'm sorry. Okay, let's just get this settled. Anything from Andre Dornberg, I'm going to allow in under the exception you stated. I need some sort of exception to get Kay Denning's statements in because they do appear to be hearsay to me.
But
Your Honor, may I be heard on the Andre
Shaw's not
Dornberg matter?
objecting, Rachel.
I'm not clear as
He's
what
not
the objection
objecting.
is.
But he's not objecting to Kay's statements coming in, I thought.
Well, what was objected to?
Your Honor, I was objecting to the entality of these text messages coming in.
He's objecting
And
to everything.
If I may be
Yeah,
heard
but you
on
already
the
ruled on Andre
exception.
Dornberg, and he
Well,
just
now
said
I'm
that
yeah, but Kay's.
he said he doesn't have objection to Kay's. That's what Shaw just said.
Yeah, but I broke it up until 12:11.
You can't have cake and eat it too. You can't have it both ways. It's either. It's either.
Okay, let's just let the text messages come in, we'll deal with this later.
Permission to publish to the jury, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Dornberg, when Kay didn't get in, you texted her asking where she was.
Yes.
And she didn't answer that text message, did she?
No, she didn't.
So you texted her again, asking where she was and telling her to come to the party.
Yes, I did.
And you told her you would love for her to come to the party.
Yeah, I did.
And you told her, let's go swimming.
Yes, I did tell her that.
And Mr. Dornberg, Christina Bloom texted you that night too, didn't you? Or didn't she?
She did, yes.
And you didn't answer those text messages.
No, I did not right away.
But you responded to Kay saying, screw Chris, sounds like a nag, are you coming?
Yes, Kay had texted me something about Chris before that.
Mr. Dornberg, you testified earlier that the chair was just supposed to be a prop.
That's correct.
and nobody was supposed to use it.
Yes.
But you don't have to be an expert to keep people from climbing up a chair.
No, you don't.
You don't have to be an expert to tell people that something's off limits.
No.
You don't have to be an expert to warn somebody about a dangerous condition.
No.
You can do some common sense things, can't you?
I suppose.
You can put up cones.
Yes.
You can put up caution tape.
Yes.
You can put up warning signs.
Yes.
But you didn't put up cones.
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance. If I may be heard for one
No,
moment.
absolutely not.
Overruled.
But you didn't put up cones.
No.
You didn't put up caution tape.
No.
And you didn't put up warning signs.
No.
You didn't do anything to prevent Kay Denning from being able to climb to the top of that chair.
No, we didn't specifically do any of those things. We did have sandbags tied to the legs of the chair for stability.
But sandbags can help somebody climb up a chair, can't they?
I suppose they could help some.
Mr. Goldberg, you didn't do anything to prevent college students at that party from being able to climb that chair.
No, not to climb it.
No further questions.
You can leave that up, Joey.
What are you gonna say to him in go time if you want to leave it up?
Counselor, can you please leave the exhibit up? Thank you so much. Andre, where in these text messages do you discuss a lifeguard chair with Kay Denning?
Nowhere.
Where do you discuss diving off a lifeguard chair with Miss Denning?
Nowhere.
Where do you discuss doing cannonballs off the lifeguard chair with Miss Denning?
We never discussed that. Okay.
In fact, at 6:41 p.m., Kay Denning texted you saying, "It sounds fun. I think I might have to go for a swim."
Objection.
She did.
Leaving.
True.
Sustained.
Andre, what did Kay Denning text you at 6:41 p.m. that night?
She texted me. I can't see the exhibit. She texted me that she wanted to go swimming. Okay.
And why was the lifeguard chair only a prop?
Well, it was only a prop because we didn't want anybody getting on it or climbing it.
Was it your intention to have anyone jump off that lifeguard chair?
Absolutely not. That would be an extremely reckless thing to do.
Thank you. No further questions.
Ask for a recross in the limited purpose of impeachment.
Your Honor, may I recross for the limited purpose of impeachment?
I'm gonna allow it for entertainment purposes, but I don't know if that's allowed. But go ahead.
You know it's impeachable? Oh, what was his whole redirect?
The text messages down.
But where did John,
Share.
what's his fucking dive in the text? His redirect was like, show me, what the text did you say? You can jump off, you should jump off, or you should do this, or you should do that.
So I would just come up and say, you said you can dive in my pool anytime.
You figure it out.
It's right here. I really said if you still want it or not.
I think it's up to the judge.
I think you would get it in this situation. Right, you don't even need it, just go right into it.
Mr. Dornberg, you testified today that you never told Ms. Stenning that you wanted to go swimming.
I testified that I didn't say that over text.
Mr. Dornberg, you said you can dive in my pool anytime.
I did text that, but it wasn't. Yes, I did text that.
What else did he say?
And you also said, can't leave, let's go swimming.
Objection, improper impeachment. I never stated.
No, whoa, 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 whoa.
Your Honor, at no point during my redirect did I state you never asked to go swimming. The entire redirect was regarding cannonballs, diving, and the lifeguard chair. So any questioning going down that is completely improper.
This is your can of worms.
No. Respond.
To the objection. Your Honor, we asked the witness on recross about his text message, you can dive in my pool anytime. We've stayed within the scope of the redirect.
Right, but what is it you heard on redirect that called for a recross?
Mr. Dornberg denied ever inviting Miss Denning to go swimming and said that he never told her that they should go swimming in his pool or diving in his pool.
So it sounds like it was less your question, more your witness's response.
I don't recall the witness stating that he never said we should go swimming or any questioning regarding the lines of swimming within itself, Your Honor.
Neither do I, but jury 1 of 1 seems to recall it very well, so, let's,
Jury 1 of 1, alright, just breaking character for all 2 seconds. His redirect, basically, you got the witness to say, I never had the idea to jump off, to dive off, to cannonball off. I think in go time, I think you would have gotten a recross for the limited thing to say, you can dive in my pool anytime. The argument I would make, if to try to get it more, is that he came across as if he never said any of the text messages. It's important for impeachment purposes to establish that he did. Alright, sit down.
Can I ask one question?
No.
may the witness be excused?